Episode 5. The Hebrews, the prophet tested. If there arise among you a prophet, or a dreamer of dreams, and he give you a sign or a wonder. These words were written nearly 3,000 years ago. They have been read as religious law, as tribal brutality, as ancient superstition. They are none of those things. They are a survival protocol. 2 passages. They seem to contradict each other. One says, if a prophet gives you a sign or wonder, and it comes to pass, but says, let us go after other gods, do not listen. That prophet shall be put to death. The other says, when a prophet speaks in the name of the Lord, if the thing does not happen, that prophet is false. Do not be afraid of him. For millennia, readers have been confused. One test says a fulfilled prediction proves nothing. The other says a failed prediction proves everything. How can both be true? The substrate answers. A prophet arrives in your community. They perform a sign, a wonder, something that actually happens, a prediction that comes true exactly as foretold. Then they say, let us go after other gods. The text says, you shall not listen. The sign is irrelevant. The prophet must die. Why such harshness? Because the other gods are not interchangeable labels for the same reality. They represent entirely different civilizational operating systems. Different ethics. Different economies. Different social hierarchies. Different calendars. Different laws. You cannot swap the covenant for Baal worship and keep the community intact. This is not replacement. This is systemic reorganization. The community would not survive the transition. The new gods would require new institutions, new priesthoods, new moral codes, new forms of maintenance. The substrate, the land itself, would be violated long before anyone understood what was happening. The prophet with genuine signs is offering a system update that looks attractive. The text says, the appearance of power is irrelevant. The message itself is the test. Now consider the second test. A prophet speaks in the name of the Lord. They make a prediction. If the thing does not happen, that prophet is false. Do not be afraid of them. This is the measurement tool. Veiled prophecy is a direct state variable. You don't need to interpret it. You don't need a council to debate it. The predicted event either happens or it doesn't. This is objective, verifiable, independent of status or belief. The powerful prophet with a reputation is not exempt. But the text also acknowledges the limitation. Several Old Testament prophecies by true prophets didn't materialize as expected. Jeremiah prophesied judgment. The people repented. The judgment didn't come. The fulfillment test is useful but not absolute. It operates at the mediation layer. The content test of Deuteronomy 13 is absolute. It operates at the substrate. And the land vomits out its inhabitants. This phrase appears throughout the Hebrew scriptures. It is often read as metaphor. It is not metaphor. The land that vomits out its inhabitants is the land that can no longer support them. The substrate has enforced. The text says the prophet must be put to death by human hands. But the reason is substrate enforcement. The community is not killing the prophet because they are angry. They are performing system maintenance. The prophet is a pathogen. Left alive, they will infect others. The infection will spread. Eventually, the whole system fails. The ultimate enforcer is not the court or the executioner. It is the land itself. The land vomits out its inhabitants when they defile it. The human execution is just the compressed form of a slower, more terrible enforcement. The community that refuses to act will eventually face the substrate's bill. Exile, famine, conquest. The prophet's teaching spreads. It seems harmless at first. The crops are still growing. The water is still flowing. Seasons pass. The land slowly degrades. The changes are almost invisible. By the time the crops fail, it is too late to undo the worship of Baal. By the time the nation is conquered, it is too late to regret the prophets who promised peace when there was no peace. The text compresses latency. It treats ideological deviation as an immediate crisis, because the collapse it portends is certain, even if delayed. The prophet who speaks perversion is introducing a failure mode that will cascade through the entire system. The only response is excision, immediate and complete. So shall you put away the evil from among you? This is the language of system hygiene. Remove the pathogen before it spreads. These passages pass every test for encoded substrate. They allocate access. They determine who gets to speak for God and who gets to lead the community. The false prophet is denied access to authority. They enforce maintenance. The rules enforce the maintenance of the covenant, which is the community's survival protocol. They punish violation physically. The punishment is physical death. And beyond that, the ultimate punishment is physical. Exile, famine, conquest. They preserve long-term viability. This is the entire purpose, that you may live and inherit the land. The text does not argue. It does not persuade. It simply encodes. After the Lord your God shall you walk, and him shall you fear, and his commandments shall you keep, and unto his voice shall you listen, and him shall you serve, and unto him shall you cleave. That is the substrate, made narrative. That is the old wisdom, laid bare. What can you not survive violating? If the old wisdom already knew this, why did we forget? Because mediation layers float free. Narrative decouples from substrate. People start believing the story instead of obeying the land. They perform the ritual but stop rotating the crops. They pay the tithe but let the irrigation silt up. They honor the ancestors but let the skilled trades die out. Then the land enforces. And they call it collapse. You're just naming what they forgot. The old wisdom was encoded substrate. Narrative that constrains because people believe it. This framework is the primary substrate. Physics that constrains whether you believe it or not. The grass withers. The flower fades. But the substrate doesn't care what you call it. It only cares what you do.